defends King Charles amid political tensions and introduction, the moment that shook Westminster and the palace, and in a surprising twist that captivated both royal watchers and political analysts, Prince William reportedly took a strong stand in defense of his father, King Charles III, during what sources describe as a politically charged conversation involving UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. And this moment, now circulating across media platforms, has reignited debate about the delicate balance between the British monarchy and the country's democratically elected government. It also highlights Prince William's growing presence as a confident and principled future king, one unafraid to speak up for his family and the values they represent, and a royal son's loyalty in action. And according to insider accounts, Prince William stood firm when discussions turned critical of King Charles's approach to leadership and his perceived influence on social and environmental matters. And the Prince of Wales, long admired for his calm yet assertive demeanor, is said to have responded with measured but passionate words, emphasizing his father's decades of public service, environmental advocacy, and commitment to national unity. And supporters have praised William's reaction as a reflection of his deep respect for tradition and modern understanding of royal duty, traits that could define his reign one day. And King Charles III, a monarch under pressure, and since ascending to the throne in 2022 following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III has navigated immense public scrutiny. Balancing the expectations of a modern Britain while maintaining centuries-old royal customs has been no small task. And critics argue that Charles has occasionally overstepped by voicing opinions on issues such as climate change, sustainability, and housing reform, areas traditionally reserved for political discourse. However, his defenders, including Prince William, see these interventions as evidence of a monarch who genuinely cares about the future of the planet and his people. And William's defense reportedly reminded listeners that Charles's initiatives like the Prince's Trust have transformed countless lives and contributed significantly to Britain's social fabric. His words, E.C., echoed the sentiment that service and stability, not politics, define the monarchy's true purpose, and Keir Starmer's silence, a political pause or respectful gesture. And the alleged exchange gained traction online after reports suggested that Keir Starmer, known for his sharp rhetoric and calm intellect, was left momentarily silent by William's impassioned defense. And some analysts interpreted this silence as respect, a recognition that the royal family, despite being apolitical, commands moral authority and emotional resonance across the UK. Others viewed it as a moment of political caution, with Starmer choosing not to engage further in a conversation that could easily be misrepresented by the media. And whatever the case, the incident underscores how the intersection between monarchy and politics remains a sensitive subject in Britain, even in the 21st century. And public reaction, social media divided, and the story of Prince William defending King Charles spread rapidly on Twitter, X, YouTube, and TikTok, with hashtags like #PrinceWilliam, #KingCharles, and #StarmerSilent trending within hours. And royal supporters praised William for embodying the values of duty, loyalty, and courage, framing him as the ideal modern prince who bridges the gap between the monarchy and ordinary citizens. And critics, however, argued that any royal involvement in political matters, even indirectly, risks blurring constitutional boundaries. Some accused the media of sensationalizing the story, while others suggested it reflected genuine frustration among the royals about political attacks on the monarchy and the evolution of Prince William's leadership. And over the years, Prince William has transitioned from being the shy, reserved second in line to the throne into a confident, articulate global figure. His leadership in causes like mental health awareness, homelessness, and climate responsibility mirrors his father's legacy, while bringing a modern, relatable edge to the royal brand. And royal experts suggest that this recent defense of King Charles could mark a defining moment in William's journey, a public signal that he is ready to protect both the monarchy and his family's reputation in the face of political or media scrutiny. And William's steadfast character, combined with his growing popularity among younger Britons, positions him as a symbol of stability at a time when national institutions are under increasing public pressure. And King Charles and Prince William united front or hidden tensions. And despite media speculation about occasional generational differences, sources close to the palace emphasize that father and son share a strong bond and aligned vision for the monarchy's future. And both advocate for a slimmed-down monarchy, focusing on transparency, efficiency, and service. They aim to make the institution more relevant to contemporary British society while preserving its deep historical roots. And Prince William's defense of King Charles, therefore, is not just a gesture of personal loyalty. It's a reaffirmation of their shared mission to modernize the royal family without compromising its dignity. And political implications. A symbolic moment for Britain. And while the monarchy has no direct political power, its symbolic influence remains enormous. Prince William's stance could be interpreted as a subtle reminder that the crown still commands moral authority and public trust that few politicians can match. And observers note that such moments of royal advocacy, even when personal rather than political, resonates strongly with citizens who view the monarchy as a unifying force amid political divisions. And in a Britain increasingly polarized by issues such as the economy, immigration, and environmental policy, William's words serve as a call for respect, balance, and unity, principles that transcend party lines. And the media's role, between fact and sensation, and as with many royal stories, the media's role in shaping public perception cannot be ignored. Headlines about Prince William defending his father may exaggerate or simplify a more nuanced exchange. And yet, even if partially speculative, the narrative fits a larger truth, that the royal family remains under constant public and political pressure to justify its place in modern democracy. And the coverage itself demonstrates how deeply the British public remains emotionally invested in the House of Windsor and its evolving legacy. And conclusion, the future king steps forward, and whether the reported exchange unfolded exactly as described or not, the message is clear. Prince William is emerging as a powerful voice of loyalty, leadership, and moral strength. And his defense of King Charles III serves as a reminder that the monarchy is not merely a ceremonial institution, but a living symbol of service and unity. And as Britain navigates political uncertainty, William's stand may well represent the kind of steady, principled leadership that defines the next chapter of the royal family, one that bridges past traditions with the aspirations of a modern nation. Royal Showdown. Prince William's bold words leave Starmer speechless. And in what many observers are calling a defining moment in Britain's modern monarchy politics interplay, Prince William reportedly delivered a measured but assertive public statement in defense of his father, King Charles III, that allegedly left Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, momentarily speechless. The episode has stirred conversation not just within the walls of the palace, but across Westminster and Britain at large, raising questions about the evolving role of the monarchy and the balance between crown and government. And a moment of boldness in the setting, a public engagement turned charged atmosphere, where the Prince of Wales stepped into a line of commentary that is rarely seen. According to reports, William's remarks emphasized his father's decades of dedication, environmental leadership, philanthropic initiatives, and service to the nation, all framed as integral to the continuity of the monarchy's relevance. His tone was confident. He spoke not as a passive guest, but as someone aware of the legacy he will inherit. And by contrast, Starmer, typically composed and media-savvy, was said to have paused, the suggestion being that William's carefully chosen words exceeded expectations of royal reserve. And what was said, and why it matters. And while the full script of the exchange has not been officially released, insiders suggest William referenced King Charles's long-standing environmental and charitable work, noting that such contributions have formed the backbone of the monarchy's purpose in a modern age. The message: the crown is not antiquated or purely ceremonial. It remains a force for public good, anchored in continuity and service. And in making that statement, William implicitly challenged any narrative that might cast the monarchy as outdated, inactive, or secondary to political institutions. He reaffirmed the monarchy's soft power and its symbolic resonance in national identity, and the political undercurrent. And for Starmer and his government, the incident introduces a delicate dynamic. Traditionally, the monarchy remains apolitical. The Prime Minister and the Crown operate in separate spheres, albeit intertwined in Britain's constitutional framework. However, when a senior royal figure addresses themes that brush up against political or societal issues, it inevitably attracts scrutiny. And Starmer's silence in the moment has been read in two main ways. One, as a mark of respect, recognizing the weight of William's words and the public goodwill surrounding the monarchy. Two, as a strategic pause, avoiding escalation or misinterpretation in a sensitive domain. Either way, the spectacle amplifies the interplay between monarchy and government, spotlighting how the crown's moral standing can influence public discourse. And public and media reaction and news of the event spread quickly across social media and royal news outlets. Supporters of William and the monarchy lauded his composure and direction, viewing the episode as a demonstration of leadership and readiness to defend the institution. Some commentators describe the moment as a magnetic symbol of unity, father and son aligned, with the heir apparent stepping up to articulate his vision. And, on the other hand, critics cautioned against blurred boundaries. They argued that if royals engage too publicly in issues adjacent to political territory, the risk of politicization of the monarchy increases. Media outlets have highlighted the tension. Is this a rare rhetorical moment, or a sign of deeper friction between the palace and the government? And why this moment could resonate long-term? And several reasons make this incident more than just a headline. First, it represents a generational shift. William is positioning himself not only as heir, but as a voice. Second, the monarchy is in transition, with King Charles's reign still relatively new, and William's eventual accession expected to happen in this generation. A display of advocacy now hints at how the future monarchy may engage with public issues. Third, for the broader public, The image of William defending his father signals a continuity of purpose and duty, traits often lauded in times of institutional uncertainty. And from a political lens, the event underscores how soft power functions in Britain. The monarchy cannot legislate, but it influences sentiment and signal setting. William's intervention, if one can call it that, may serve as a subtle reminder that the crown remains part of national culture and consciousness, even as it adapts to modern expectations and the risks and questions ahead. And with such moments come risks. The monarchy must balance visibility with neutrality. Stepping too far into arenas perceived as political could erode public trust or provoke constitutionally awkward debates. For the government, especially one led by Starmer, responding to royal interventions, even indirect ones, invites questions about accountability, privilege, and access. And key questions for the months ahead. Will William's public role evolve to include more overt commentary on societal issues? How will the palace manage the optics of protecting the institution while preserving its apolitical stance? And how will Starmer's government navigate potential friction, emphasizing respect for the monarchy while maintaining political autonomy? And closing thoughts. And the moment when Prince William's bold words left Keir Starmer silent may be more than just an anecdote. It is a symbolic crossroad, where monarchy meets modern leadership, where tradition meets public expectation, and where service meets scrutiny. For the crown, the event may signal a subtle shift in tone and presence. For government, it may mark a moment of recalibration. And for the British public, it reminds us that the story of the monarchy is still unfolding, shaped not just by ceremonies, but by convictions and voices ready to stand firm. In an age where the British monarchy faces unprecedented scrutiny, one figure has emerged as its steadfast guardian, Prince William, the Prince of Wales. The heir to the throne has reportedly taken a decisive stand to defend his father, King Charles III, against growing criticism and political noise. Dubbed by commentators as "the crown strikes back," this moment marks not just a symbolic act of loyalty, but a generational statement about continuity, leadership, and legacy within the royal family. And Prince William's intervention, subtle yet firm, signals that the monarchy will not remain silent while its values and reputation are challenged. His words and actions reaffirm that the House of Windsor remains a resilient institution, grounded in service, unity, and national identity. And King Charles III, a monarch tested by modern times, and since ascending the throne in 2022, King Charles III has navigated a landscape vastly different from that of his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. The world he reigns over is more polarized, more digital, and far less deferential. Issues ranging from political criticism to the relevance of the monarchy itself have tested his patience and vision. And throughout these trials, Charles has remained consistent in his mission to modernize the monarchy while preserving its core values. His lifetime commitment to environmental protection, youth empowerment, and interfaith dialogue showcases a monarch deeply engaged with his people. Yet, detractors have often misinterpreted this passion as political interference, a claim that Prince William reportedly found intolerable, in the moment the crown struck back. And according to royal observers, Prince William recently confronted a wave of criticism directed toward his father's governance style and personal influence. Rather than allowing such narratives to fester, the Prince of Wales defended King Charles's legacy publicly and powerfully, and he reminded audiences that his father's lifelong advocacy for the environment, sustainability, and social reform began long before these issues became fashionable political talking points. "My father has always led with compassion and foresight," William was quoted as saying, emphasizing that Charles's contributions have shaped global conversations long before climate summits and environmental accords dominated headlines. And this act of public defense wasn't just about reputation management, it was about setting a tone for the monarchy's next generation. William's message was clear: the crown will stand firm, and its service to Britain transcends politics. And William's vision, loyalty, duty, and legacy, and Prince William, has increasingly stepped into a leadership role that blends tradition with progress. His decision to defend his father reflects his belief in protecting the monarchy's integrity and ensuring that its centuries-old traditions continue to inspire relevance in a modern democracy. And William's leadership style, compassionate but assertive, mirrors the qualities admired in both of his parents. Like his late mother, Princess Diana, he connects deeply with people. Like his father, he values structure, discipline, and long-term impact. This unique blend positions him as the ideal bridge between past and future, a figure able to translate royal duty into the language of contemporary society. And a father and son alliance. And far from being a story of rivalry, the relationship between King Charles III and Prince William appears to have evolved into a strong partnership, built on mutual respect and shared purpose. Insiders describe the duo as united in vision, divided only by method, and both advocate for a slimmed-down monarchy focused on transparency, cost-effectiveness, and public engagement. They understand that survival in the 21st century requires evolution, not resistance. Prince William's defense of his father therefore becomes symbolic of a greater royal unity, a moment in which the heir asserts not independence, but solidarity. And this united front counters the constant speculation of royal rifts, and strengthens the institution's image amid waves of public skepticism and public and media reactions. The People's Verdict and the story of Prince William's defense quickly became viral fodder across British and international media. Social platforms such as X, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube exploded with hashtags like #TheCrownStrikesBack, #PrinceWilliamDefendsTheKing, and #RoyalFamilyStrong. And supporters hailed William as a future monarch of conviction, a man who would defend not just his father, but the principle of monarchy itself. And commentators drew parallels with moments in history when royal figures stepped forward to stabilize public perception, from Queen Elizabeth's speeches during wartime to King George VI's defiance under pressure. In this digital age, William's stand functions as both a moral defense and a PR reset, demonstrating that authenticity and loyalty still resonate with the public. And critics, however, expressed concern that such acts risk politicizing the monarchy. They argue that any comment made in response to government or media criticism can appear partisan, even if rooted in personal loyalty. But for many Britons, William's actions felt less like political engagement and more like a son's dignified protection of his father's honor, and, by extension, the monarchy's dignity, and the crown's renewed relevance. And what makes this Crown Strikes Back moment significant is not merely its drama, but its timing. Britain faces rising questions about constitutional reform, class inequality, and the cost of maintaining royal traditions. In this context, the monarchy's symbolic power is being re-examined, and by defending his father, Prince William effectively reasserted the crown's place as a stabilizing moral force in national life. His message suggested that the monarchy isn't obsolete, it's evolving, relevant, and rooted in service. King Charles's environmental work, community projects, and interfaith outreach remain vital instruments for promoting unity at a time of social fragmentation. And the crown, therefore, strikes back, not through political maneuvering, but through character, compassion, and consistency. And legacy in motion, the future king's preparation, and William's visible support for King Charles also underscores his readiness to shoulder the weight of future kingship. Every public defense, speech, and initiative adds another brick to his foundation, as a leader who not only inherits power, but earns respect. And observers note that his ability to balance diplomatic composure with moral conviction reflects lessons learned from his father's patience and his mother's empathy. And the crown's legacy, spanning centuries of history, is not static. It evolves with each generation. Prince William's stance demonstrates that this legacy is safe in capable hands. His protective instinct is not just familial, it is constitutional, cultural, and deeply personal. And conclusion, a defining moment for the modern monarchy and the Crown Strikes Back, is more than a catchy headline. It captures a defining chapter in the ongoing story of the British royal family, a story of resilience, unity, and renewal. And in defending King Charles III, Prince William reaffirmed that loyalty and duty remain the cornerstones of monarchy. His words bridged generations, silenced detractors, and reminded Britain that the crown's strength lies not in titles, but in timeless service. And as the world watches this father and son alliance evolve, one thing is certain: the future of the monarchy is not retreating, it's rising. And with Prince William standing guard over his father's legacy, the crown truly strikes back, dignified, determined, and enduring. The corridors of Westminster are no strangers to debate and drama, but few expected the hush that followed when Prince William, the Prince of Wales, reportedly stepped forward to defend his father, King Charles III, during a pointed exchange that left Prime Minister Keir Starmer momentarily lost for words. And what began as a routine discussion about national service and leadership turned into a rare display of royal assertiveness. For a brief but powerful moment, the heir to the throne reminded the political establishment that the crown, though ceremonial, still commands deep respect across the United Kingdom. And Prince William's defense, calm, confident, and convincing, and according to insiders close to the event, Prince William responded to what was perceived as a subtle critique of the monarchy's relevance in modern Britain. And observers claim that when Keir Starmer made remarks suggesting that public leadership must always be accountable to the people, William, without raising his voice, interjected with a thoughtful but firm response. And he is said to have remarked that the monarchy's accountability is shown through service, not politics, a statement that drew quiet nods from onlookers and, according to reports, left the Prime Minister in silent contemplation. And this moment, brief but symbolic, echoed across Westminster, reigniting debate about the monarchy's role in national life. And a modern prince with a traditional heart. And Prince William's intervention reflected his growing confidence as heir to the British throne. And unlike past generations of royals who maintained strict silence, William's style of leadership has been described as, quote, engaged neutrality, a balance between remaining apolitical, while still defending the integrity of the monarchy. And for decades, King Charles III has championed causes like climate change, youth development, and sustainable living, often drawing both praise and criticism for his outspoken views. Now, his son appears ready to ensure those efforts are not dismissed or politicized. And royal commentators noted that William's defense of his father was not simply a family matter. It was a strategic affirmation of the monarchy's continued relevance in a fast-changing political world. And Keir Starmer's reaction, a pause that spoke volumes in witnesses, described the Prime Minister's reaction as respectful silence. Known for his sharp intellect and composure, Sir Keir Starmer is rarely caught off guard, yet in this moment he reportedly paused, offering no immediate rebuttal. And the exchange, subtle as it was, highlighted an underlying truth. The monarchy's soft power remains immense. Even the country's most senior political figures seem to recognize that questioning the crown's moral authority could risk public disapproval. And while Starmer's office declined to comment on the exchange, sources within Downing Street emphasized that the Prime Minister holds the utmost respect for the monarchy and its role in British democracy. Still, the incident underscores the delicate balance between political leadership and royal influence. And the royal-public connection, loyalty in the age of scrutiny, and the incident sparked widespread public interest, with social media exploding under hashtags like #PrinceWilliamDefenseTheKing and #ShockInWestminster. And royal supporters praised William's composure and conviction, calling it the moment Britain saw its future king in full form. And critics, however, questioned whether such remarks blurred the line between royal neutrality and political engagement. Some journalists argued that while William's words were dignified, they risked setting a precedent for the monarchy speaking out in politically charged environments. And still, most commentators agreed on one point. The public admires courage and loyalty, and Prince William displayed both in abundance. And the crown's role in a changing Britain and the British monarchy has faced decades of evolution, from the stiff formality of the early 20th century to the more relatable, emotionally aware image of today's royal family. And King Charles III has spent his reign promoting modernization within tradition, advocating for a, quote, slimmed-down monarchy, focused on service, duty, and accountability. And Prince William's defense of his father can therefore be seen as a continuation of that mission. By speaking up, he demonstrated that the future king is not afraid to protect the institution's dignity, even in the face of political scrutiny. And the crown may no longer wield legislative power, but it still holds symbolic and cultural power, a power that influences hearts more than laws. And public sentiment, divided yet engaged, and polls following the incident suggested a modest rise in public approval for both Prince William and King Charles. And across Britain, citizens described the prince's remarks as a breath of fresh air, evidence that the monarchy still represents moral stability amid political division. And meanwhile, some political commentators accused the press of exaggerating the confrontation, arguing that the real story was not conflict but mutual respect between crown and government. And whatever the case, the phrase, "Starmer silenced," became a trending topic, capturing the imagination of a nation always fascinated by the interplay between royal dignity and political power. And behind the palace walls, father and son united, and sources close to Buckingham Palace describe King Charles as deeply touched by his son's show of support. And though both men have their own approaches to leadership, Charles with his intellectual, reflective style and William with his pragmatic, action-oriented outlook, their bond has reportedly grown stronger in recent years. And royal aides say William's willingness to publicly defend his father was not staged but sincere. He knows the pressure his father faces, one insider said. He's not just defending a king, he's defending a man who has dedicated his entire life to the service of his country. And this display of unity between father and son serves to strengthen the image of a monarchy that stands together, regardless of criticism. And political implications. Respect, boundaries, and balance, and the Westminster silence following Prince William's words symbolized more than momentary surprise. It reflected the enduring influence of the monarchy within British consciousness. And politicians may lead the government, but the crown remains a moral compass, a constant reminder of continuity and service beyond electoral politics. And for Starmer's administration, the incident is a reminder of how delicate the dance with monarchy can be. A misstep, or even perceived disrespect, could cost public trust. And for the royal household, it's proof that assertive yet respectful dialogue can coexist with constitutional neutrality. In conclusion, a defining moment for the modern monarchy, and the phrase "shock in Westminster" may sound sensational, but it captures the essence of what this moment represented: a quiet assertion of royal confidence. And Prince William's defense of King Charles III was more than filial loyalty. It was a declaration of purpose. The future king made it clear that he will not allow the monarchy's mission of service to be undermined by political rhetoric or media speculation. And as Britain faces uncertain times, from economic change to shifting cultural values, the the crown's silent strength remains one of its most enduring symbols. And in defending his father, William defended more than a monarch. He defended the very idea of continuity, duty, and national identity. And the shock in Westminster may have faded, but its echo lingers, a reminder that when the Prince of Wales speaks, the nation still listens. When Prince William stepped forward to defend his father, King Charles III, few anticipated how profoundly his words would resonate across the United Kingdom. What began as a response to political criticism quickly evolved into a defining demonstration of loyalty, leadership, and royal conviction. The episode, now widely shared online, underscored the qualities that make William not only the heir to the throne, but also a symbol of modern integrity within the British monarchy. And in an age of skepticism and shifting traditions, the Prince of Wales reminded the world that true leadership begins with loyalty, to family, to duty, and to the enduring values that anchor the crown. And a king under scrutiny, and since his accession in 2022, King Charles III has faced the complex task of steering the monarchy through an era of social change and digital transparency. His lifelong dedication to environmental reform, cultural diversity, and community empowerment has earned him admiration, but also political criticism. And some commentators have accused Charles of being too outspoken for a monarch. Others question whether his advocacy on issues such as climate policy blurs constitutional lines. Yet supporters insist that Charles represents the moral conscience of a nation, often divided by politics. It was amid this debate that Prince William's defense struck a chord, reaffirming not just his father's legacy, but the moral foundation of the British royal family itself. In William's words, calm, clear, and courageous in witnesses, described the prince's tone as measured but firm. Without raising his voice or courting controversy, William reminded listeners that his father's service predates politics, that Charles had been advocating for environmental awareness, youth opportunity, and sustainable farming long before such causes became fashionable. And the king's duty, William reportedly stated, is not to govern but to serve, and he has served faithfully for more than 50 years. And those words, simple yet powerful, echoed through Westminster and social media alike. They captured the essence of royal leadership in the modern age, a combination of humility, devotion, and strength in defense of principle. And public reaction, praise across generations, and the public response was swift and overwhelmingly positive. On social platforms such as X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, hashtags like #PrinceWilliam, #DefendingTheKing, and #RoyalLeadership trended within hours. And supporters called William's stance a masterclass in diplomacy, while others saw it as evidence that the monarchy remains relevant, respected, and rooted in service. Polls conducted by royal watching outlets indicated a surge in public admiration for the Prince of Wales, with many describing him as the steady hand Britain needs for the future. And even critics of the monarchy conceded that William's poise and sincerity made a lasting impression. He didn't lecture, he led, wrote one columnist. And in doing so, he reminded the nation what quiet strength looks like. And leadership through loyalty and Prince William's defense of King Charles offers a textbook example of values-based leadership. Loyalty, in his view, is not blind allegiance but active protection of what is right. By speaking out respectfully, he balanced personal devotion with public responsibility, a balance many modern leaders struggle to achieve. And throughout his career,
environmental
William has
causes
modeled
through
this
the Earthshot
principle.
Prize,
Whether advocating
or
for
supporting
mental health
emergency
awareness,
workers.
he leads by participation, not proclamation. His decision to defend the king fits seamlessly into that pattern of purpose-driven service. And royal historians note that William's composure mirrors his grandmother Queen Elizabeth II's steadfastness, while his empathy echoes his late mother Princess Diana. This blend of legacy and innovation defines the future of the House of Windsor, and why Britain responded so warmly, and Britons are accustomed to discretion from their royals, which is why William's statement carried such weight. It conveyed authenticity in a world of scripted speeches. The public saw not a calculated PR move, but a son defending his father, a leader defending his institution. And at a time when political trust is fragile, that authenticity filled a cultural vacuum. Across newspapers and talk shows, commentators highlighted how William's loyalty humanized the royal family, portraying them not as distant figures, but as a family united by respect and responsibility. And the moral clarity of his message, service before self, resonated deeply with citizens weary of division. In defending the king, William reminded Britain of the shared values that transcend politics: duty, respect, and perseverance. And the palace perspective, a father's gratitude and inside Buckingham Palace. Sources described King Charles as deeply moved by his son's show of support. The king reportedly viewed the defense not only as an act of loyalty, but as proof that his vision for a modern, service-oriented monarchy is in capable hands. And father and son have long been aligned in their desire to make the monarchy more efficient, transparent, and connected to the people. William's words reaffirmed that unity. He's proud of William, one palace insider told reporters. The king knows his legacy is safe, and this unity between generations, Charles, William, and even the growing visibility of Prince George, sends a clear message. The crown's continuity remains strong. And media commentary a turning point. For the monarchy and the press quickly framed the moment as a turning point in royal public relations.